Okay guys, I just wanted to bring to you a little update on some reels that I used this year, some new reels. Normally I use Abu Garcias. As everybody knows, Abu Garcias are great, but they can cost you a little bit of money at the same time, especially for us catfish. So if you're familiar with the Abu Garcias, I use the C4. I normally use the C4s. I'm showing you this as reference to size, okay? If you don't know what size these reels that I'm gonna show you are, this is kind of what you can compare them to. So this is an Abu Garcia C4 6600. I've been using these for a long time. I've been using Abus for quite some time, actually, for quite a few many years. But here's the size of a C4. A C4 6600 by Abu. Downfall of 6600 is gear ratio. It's, what are they, 6 to 1, 6-3 to 1. We'll call it 6 to 1, whatever. But the downfall of that is if you're on a river with current, of course you could put a power hand on it like I did here. But the downfall of this gear ratio is reeling bait in with a lot of weight, heavy weight, let's say 8, 10, 12 ounces, whatever, and you're reeling against that current. It's really hard, and I don't think it's good on the gearing inside of it. So that could create problems for you with being that 6-3 to 1. So and this is just for comparison. Like I said, if you're an Abu fan, you know, and Abu has many reels that you can use, you know, from 7,000s to whatever. And I'm sure they got different gear ratios. I'm just a fan of the push button, the thumb button release there. So I'm not a big fan of the side where it pushes on the side. I don't know why, I never have been. So, and I'm a fan of the Sweden made. So enough on the Abu Garcia. What I want to get into is showing you about these reels down here and what I found out about these reels just in the short time that I've used them, that I want to bring to you, and maybe it'll help you out on searching for a reel, or a reel this kind of size that is going to hold up and do good for you. Okay guys, the first one I'm going to go over with you with is the Okuma. And both of these that I'm going to show you is Okuma, but they're two different models. So with that being said, the Okuma, and I have to look at the writing because I always forget, but it's the Classic Pro XP. And this is the one that's got like the metal siding, and they're a little more pretty to look at as a visual. So the Okuma Classic Pro XP is, like I said, it's dressed up a little better, and it may be, these are about 70 bucks, $71, $72, something like that. I can't exactly remember, but normally if you find them, they're going to be in that price range, 71, 72 bucks, 70, somewhere in there. The details of this reel is, these are a 5, let's see, it ain't written on there. I'm going to go off memory off this, but this is like a 5 to 1 ratio, gear ratio, which changes everything against river current versus a 6 to 1 ratio. It just, even reeling in a fish, when you're reeling a fish, of course, you know, some people have the bad concept of when they're reeling in a fish, they just reel on the fish. They don't fight the fish with the rod, then reel down and pull back and reel down, you know, or give it a couple cranks. And most people, not most people, but some people want to try and fight a fish with the reel. And that's kind of the wrong way to do it, in my opinion. I'm not saying my opinion's right, I'm saying just my opinion. But fighting a fish with the reel isn't kind of, in my opinion, the best way to do it. You know, you want to work the reel and the rod together. But the biggest issue is going back again when you're in high current on a river, the river's flowing, you know, that 5-to-1 ratio gives you that winch action kind of against the current when you're reeling your stuff in to cast back out or rebait or whatever the case is. So the 5-to-1 is just really, really a good, if you, it's downstepping the gear ratio, but it's just a lot better than 6-to-1. Now, I'm a lake fisherman most part, so using these 6-to-1, not having a current isn't very bad at all. They work great, nothing against them. But being on the river, getting back out on the river, you know, you kind of want to step that gear ratio down and give yourself a little more torque on what you're doing. Now, the next thing we can go into is drag. Go back in comparison to the Abu Garcias. We all know that Abu Garcia has great smooth drag on them with just regular drag plates that come in them or whatever. You know, like I said, I'm not a real tech, I'm not. But only thing I can do is compare for you what I think. So Abu Garcias normally have a smooth drag to them. That's something that's always drawn people like me to Abu Garcias. Everything's real smooth like. So in comparison, you know, the Okumas, if you see that drag, and that's not real tight, just so I can pull it by hand, but it's smooth enough. And I'm gonna give you a tip on that in a minute on something I did that, in my opinion, helps smooth them out. So now with the drag on these, especially this model here, like I said, this is the Pro XP. They're the same size, like I said, as the Abu Garcia for the most part. Might just be a little wider, but it gives you a comparison. But anyhow, go back to the drag. The drag on these are fairly smooth. And let me winch it down a little bit more there. It's fairly smooth. I don't think there's any problem with the drags on these. And I tell you, in my opinion, why smooth drags are, in my opinion, why smooth drags are important is, one, if you got a drag that, if you're fighting a bigger fish and it wants to jerk because the drag isn't smooth enough, what happens is if that fish goes to dip down or dive down or dig down real quick, like, and that drag is kind of jerking along, that raises your chances of breaking off on that fish, because it's just it putting shock to it, you know what I mean, instead of pulling out smooth. So I don't want to elaborate too much on that. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But these here has got a fairly smooth drag. So that's one point I wanted to go over. Clickers, if you like to run clickers, they got a good clicker on them. I can't complain about the clicker at all. I mean, that's a real good clicker. I'm gonna give you another example up against the Abu C4. I'm gonna do it kind of equally. I'm gonna have to roll it by thumb because I don't have any line on there to pull out. But if you listen real closely, then now the reason I'm doing it with a forward pull is because a clicker will sound different than when you're reeling it back in. Now, here would be your clicker reeling in. If you heard that, clicker reeling in. Let's do that again. So I haven't had any problems with the clickers going bad or anything like that. So that's always a plus in my book. Now, these do have, I don't know what you would call it. I guess it would be just a flip lever. to release your bow. And they don't auto engage, so you have to pop them back up. Most guys that catfish would be used to that kind of lever to disengage and engage. So kind of wanted to go over that with you. Overall, I've used this reel all year long. I got 2 of them and I've ran them and they've done a really good job and I'm really happy with them. No problems at all. Like I said, I'm real happy with the crank torque to them, and they adjust well. To adjust them where you can cast, they adjust very well. No problems there. They seem to be sturdy, and it works for me. So let me move on to the next reel, which is a step down from this reel to, like I said, this is a $70 reel. We're going to go to the $50 reel, which is, I think, $51, $52. So let's step down to that, and let's put this up here and let's show you this one. This is a step down version, and this is going to be your classic CLX 200. Classic CLX 200. I can show you the box for that. So, classic CLX 200. This reel goes back to being pretty much the same size as this in the Abu Garcia. And the drag on it is pretty much the same. It's smooth. And when I first got them, they were just a tiny bit jumpy. And what I did was I buckled my rod down in the rod holder, and after I put the line on it, I noticed that they were just a tiny bit jumpy, but you see how smooth that is now? So what I did was, see that? Now, in my eyes, this is what I tightened the drag about 3/4 of the way up. I grabbed the line, I buckled my rod down in the rod holder, and I took that line and I just drug that drag. I think it was a break-in period because them drag plates in there are probably a little sticky. They're, you know, they've been sitting, and I drug probably, I don't know, maybe 100 foot off just pulling them drag plates and let them work a little bit. After I did that, smooth right out. It took that little bit of jumpiness out. So if that's a tip to help anybody on these newer reels, being a little bit of a cheaper reel, see how smooth that is? Let me tighten it down a little bit. That's pretty hard pull there. Okay. So, like I said, this is the $52 step down from the $70. These also, too, the classic CLX 200 also has a 5-to-1 ratio. Let me let you hear the clicker on these. Beautiful clicker. Couldn't ask for better, I don't think. And like I said, these don't, just like the other one, they don't engage. You have to re-engage them. Going back in. So that's where you're at on these. Casting, they cast great. They adjust great. No problems there. Stepping down to these, to this $50, $52 reel, you can't go wrong, guys. You know, they got the pins and stuff like that. Was it the pin squalls and stuff that people use? I've never used them. I can't compare them to those. So I can't give you any kind of comparison to the pin squalls and so on. All I can do is give you a comparison to the Abu Garcia. You know, the drag versus drag, what I think about it. And as far as casting, here's what I'm going to say about casting. They cast great. I elaborate on that just a little bit here. Being on a boat, guys, if you go back to fishing the river again, if you're on a boat, you're casting off the back of your boat, whatever the case is. That's the purpose of being on a boat, to get closer to your target, right? So 9 times out of 10, you're lobbing it out there. You know, you're just going to lob your bait out there, let it drop to the bottom of your river or your lake or whatever you're on, and that's what works. You don't have to be, if you're on the bank trying to cast a half mile, I don't try to cast a half mile off my boat. If I'm on the bank, I'll try to cast a little further, maybe to hit the drops on the lake or whatever like that. So that's what works. That's what works. So far as trying to cast these really far, I've put 2 and 3 ounces on them, and they go. They go on out. No problems. They float on out. So I've done that in the backyard just to see how good they cast, because I want to experiment a little bit. So no problems there. If you're casting off the bank, I think you'll be happy with them. Again, the important things to me are the drag. The drag's being smooth, the gear ratio, just the overall durability of the reel. So far, no problems at all. So, and they match up real good. They match up real good with the rods that I use. I use Real Catnappers rods. It's a perfect match. That, if you want to know, that's 40-pound Andy, 40-pound Monster Andy Mono. That's what I laced those up with, just so you are curious of what kind of line that is on there. Now, let me give you kind of a side-by-side with these 2 reels. I'm gonna lay this rod down and kind of go right over top of it so you can see it. Matter of fact, I'll put all 3 of them side-by-side. Maybe that'll give you a whole better visual, because one of the things I ran into with looking for rods and reels, and mostly reels, is you can always read a number of something, but what size is it really? So that was my point of this video, is to kind of bring you size comparison, because I'm funny. I don't want no real big reel that, you get them reels that are just a little bit too big, and they can become aggravating. Let me give you a down shot view of all 3 of these reels beside each other. Now, guys, like I said, to get back to the reel, I didn't want to do a teardown video and start comparing guts and all that stuff, because I don't do that. Matter of fact, I'll tell you why I don't do that, because I'm bad for taking things apart and they don't go back together. If this was broken, I needed to take it apart to try to fix it, it'd be one thing. But I don't like taking things apart, especially when it comes to reels. Now, I know you can take one side off, just kind of look at things or whatever, but I have no reason to do that. Nothing's failed on them, so I have no reason to tear them apart. And plus, like I said, I may take anything apart and it may not go back together. There's certain things I will take apart, but I don't like messing with reels. I use them. I use reels for what they are. I use them. So, again, I just wanted to point out to you guys about these Okumas. If you're looking for something that's that kind of size compared to the size of the Abus that I showed you, this is kind of, in my opinion, this is where you want to be at. Got a good sturdy handle on them. The drags seem good. I normally run about 6-8 pounds of drag, so I don't care to have them real tight anyway. There's a lot of guys out there that crank things down. I don't do that. Another tip is, and I've learned this over the years, and I feel like it's helped me. I live up north in Ohio, so come wintertime, I always take, when I store my reels, I back the drags off. I just back them off to where it doesn't take much to pull them out. Let me turn this clicker off. Where it doesn't take much to pull them out. That's how I like to store them, and I'll tell you why. I feel like that maybe the drag disc in there may, it's some kind of softer material. I don't know what it is, but may compress a little bit, put flat spots in them or put dents in them, which will not let your drag operate smoothly come next spring. And it may, and another thing is too, it makes you remember to reset your drag in the spring, other than just pulling it down, going out fishing, and you never touched it and pulled it out, and all of a sudden it's stuck. So I feel like that's a good thing to do too, is loosen all your drags in the winter unless you're a person that fishes all year round. You know, do it however you want to. I'm just giving you my opinion of how to just maybe prolong the life of any reel that you have, whether if it's an Okuma or Abu or a Shimano or whatever. Loosen your drags up. Another thing is, these reels that I just showed you, you can get from Tackle Bandit. Right here. See that Tackle Bandit right there? You can get these reels from Tackle Bandit. Hopefully, if I remember, I'll put a link below where you can go and order these reels if you ever need them. But matter of fact, that's Tackle Bandit right there. That's Nate Davis out in Oklahoma. He runs a great tackle company. If you're looking for catfish gear and you can't find it in your store, look up Tackle Bandit, because he's going to have hooks, reels, rods, about every aftermarket rod that there is out there that I know of. All kind of, from floats. You know, I like to run floats on my line. Floats like this. Go in there and look, guys. Go in there and just take a look. Nate's going to have it more than likely. He's going to have stuff you've probably never seen before for catfishing. So check him out. If you want to cut the money, instead of buying one Abu Garcia, you can go out and buy 2 or 3 of these for almost the same price. That might be the way you want to go. Like the video, give us a subscribe. We'll see you next time, guys. Hope to see you on the water. Tight lines to you.